So today I want to go over the Bitcoin dominance chart from full with new analysis, a new way to view it so you understand it. So, welcome. If you are new, subscribe, bell button, leave a like. It majorly helps, it really does. And if you have been watching my content anyways, you'll know this video is coming. Now I understand some people know this, but it's good to go over it. Give you a few little tips and hints in terms of analysis, new chart layout as well, just to show you, because I think it's important. Now, in terms of my Patreon, I'm going to be doing a case study on this in terms of a long featured video, going back in time, how this would work, how much you would have gained, lost, whatever it may be. Now, I want to go over some of the misconceptions of this to keep it simple, right? So, when the Bitcoin dominance is going up, that is Bitcoin season. That would indicate that you are losing Satoshis. When the BTC dominance is going down, that is therefore alt season. When altcoins are rallying against and are doing better than Bitcoin, therefore you are growing your Satoshis. Stacking sats, it's what I use, right? And I'll explain it. The dominant feature of your portfolio is programmed in USD. However, the variable price of that is actually the Satoshi range. So if your coin, whatever it may be, is worth so many sats, if you put that in Google, how many sats that is worth via USD, it will spit out how much it's worth. So even though your coin, say for example, Chainlink or Ethereum, whatever it's worth, it's just a metric sum of that mathematical formula. It's all done in sats, which is kind of hard to believe, right? So this is why people get excited for the wrong reasons when, oh, Bitcoin's bumping, so there's all the altcoins. The BTC pair is what you need to focus on. This is why when I use Delta, I always look at the Satoshi values of my portfolio. That is how I grow it. So the question that you're probably asking right now is, well, what do you do then? Well, if your altcoins that you're buying with BTC, which is usually the preferred method, and I understand not many people hold BTC right now, is usually to use BTC and then look to grow it. Why, you're probably asking? Because it holds its value better and it is also a much easier metric to keep on top of. I would rather have 10 BTC in my portfolio, for example, than have no BTC, but it's all a derived value, which can go up and down like an absolute yo-yo, which it does. So the question you're probably wondering is also this: what do I do with taking profit? Well, if you have a high amount of BTC value worth in your altcoins, you can therefore cash it in as BTC, then manage that. If BTC keeps going up, or if it doesn't, you can then take profit into stable currencies. Therefore, you've now got ammunition to utilize and use in the market. So what we're going to do, we're going to go to the screen. I'll explain it in a bit more detail so you understand it. But it's very, very clear. Yes, it is subjective. Yes, it depends on what you want in your portfolio. But sometimes, honestly, I will say this, it's better to just buy Bitcoin instead of buying some altcoins, because they do tumble hard and you've never even realized it. But look at the differences. Look at the differences of how these markets are portrayed. Why? Looking at August again, Gigapump market's doing well. We've had an alt season, right, basically. And again, boom. But from basically the 25th of September time, which is here, we've had quite a sharp correction. Well, what happened from that point? Well, from that point there, the dominance started to go up. Therefore, when we look at this, this is what has happened. This is how you can read it. You're looking at that, that is melting massively. Why is that important? Because from this point here, it's been melting and it's also went to a certain point. So again, when we start looking at this, this is how you read it. When this is going up and that is going down, you're going to get wrecked. But what has happened on this side? Well, when we look at the same metric here, well, from that point period, the USD price actually swung a lot higher. It's actually created a whole new high where this hasn't even gone anywhere near it. So when we're looking at that price point, let's have a little look at the dates. From the 19th of October here, let's have a little look. So we'll go from the 19th of October. You'll probably notice this. Price matured from top to bottom, 72%. When we're looking again at that level again, what was it, the 19th of October? Again, we're looking at this point, top to bottom, went to 70%. So there's already a difference there. But you got to think, how much lower did this drop? Massively. Look at the depth of it. That's ridiculous, right? When you start thinking about it, look at the depth. So when we start thinking about that, you would have lost, if you bought on the 23rd of September, this is where the metric comes in, right? This is where you need to understand it. The 23rd of September, it's dropped 51%. You may not even notice that. Why? Because when you start buying on the 23rd of September, right, you've actually bought here at $72. It went lower, and now it's higher than that purchase order. Whereas on the right-hand side there, it is not. That is how you read it. That is how you can get wrecked. So when you start looking at certain price levels here, now, obviously with this, it's done its thing. It's went down, it's pulled back up, it's popped. Sometimes you may find that this may not have happened. Now, the reason why it has happened is because it started to bounce. It started to find a level, and also AVX has been doing pretty well anyways. But this is where the problem lies, right? You could have been, right, buying, right? And this is where the reality is. From this point here on the 23rd, 24th of September, you could still be down in Satoshis, because you've literally bought the top. You've literally bought the top of that level, and yes, it is climbing back up, but you are actually currently, if you bought at that point, you are currently down 26% in BTC. Now, when we start looking at the BTC chart and going from that point there, what was that, the 24th of September, right? 24th of September. So let me just go to this. Let me just do it on, we'll put it on the bottom here actually. From the 24th of September here, oh my God, right? This is where you would have been buying. It would have been better for you from that point here. You would have been buying. So you've lost 25% of your BTC, and the value appreciation of BTC has gone up 64%. It would have been better for you to purchase basically BTC at this point and get more money. That is where this metric comes in. It is very complicated. It makes a lot of sense when you get it, but it's all about timing. This indicator will tell you how to get in investments at the correct times, not what goes with the market, what flows in the market. It doesn't always read obviously, but at the same time though, you will always find that sometimes, most of the time, you will find if something's overvalued or undervalued, depends on the dominance chart. So when we start looking at that, the dominance is flying up. Therefore, you've got a problem. Your Satoshis are going to get bled out, and you saw that with AVX. Now, let's see if we can, bear with me, find another example here. Let's look at Dogecoin, just as an example here. So we'll talk about market timing. Obviously, we've had a gigapump, right? You can see that. But the one thing that's for sure here is kind of obvious. Within this time period, we've had nothing really happening because it's kind of been a bit meh. But one thing that will happen over time is one of these will go up and one of them will go down. Already we're starting to see, you can just about see it, bear with me. That label's kind of not in the best place. There we go. You can kind of see here already, this is a lot deeper, a lot sharper. These drops are nowhere near. Why? Because when we start looking at October here, this is looking a lot more better in price action, where this has actually went up, it spiked back down. It's not up much via the grand scheme of things when you start looking at it. I mean, look at that, it's pretty, versus that, one's an uptrend, one is downtrend, right? Why? Because the dominance has changed. It's kind of important to note that the dominance has changed massively in that time period. So again, if you're looking at September, in September time, when the dominance was rising, this was melting. Looking at this alone in September, the price was following it because the market was a bit crap and no one really wanted Dogecoin. But at the same time, you could have had another situation where you've like, oh, I bought the dip here. Cool, happy days. 6th of September, you know, looking at from this point here, from the 6th of September, you may be thinking, right, okay, I've bought a potential, where was it, 6th of September here. I bought a potential dip here. Okay, I'm down 33%. Doesn't look like much, doesn't feel like much, but it will hurt, right? And again, you're looking at what time metric was that again? That was like the 6th of September. No, sorry, the 6th of September. Let's have a look. 6th of September. You bought the dip. Well, you say you bought the dip. You bought before it dipped. Let's just say, And current live price action here, it's down 14% in USD. So there's a huge difference there. But one thing I will say before I leave you, before I go into more content tomorrow regarding alt seasons, a metric in BTC is a lot worse, right? So 33% of one BTC is 0.33 BTC. That's a lot versus what you could be putting into, for example, here, 14% of USD. We know it's a bit different. We know the metric's different. Obviously, one BTC is a big example there, but it's to prove a point. If you time it wrong, it's nasty. So if the BTC dominance is melting, it means that they are running hard, right? The altcoins are going to be doing their thing. If this is hurtling up quite aggressively, which it has been in this time period where you've seen, like, as example, see, you can kind of see it on the screen. It's kind of obvious. You don't really want to be buying just yet. You want to wait for those low BTC value orders, because essentially you can grow your portfolio without really meaning to do it, you know, in two metrics instead of just one. Nothing worse than just looking at USD, because I've already proved it with the AVX there, the difference in the variables. If you've got a decent chunk locked up in there and you're already down in BTC's already pumped 60%. You're kind of down quite a lot.